Strickland.
Strickland for three. You're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is the Hoops post-game show. The Huskers fall once again 88-78 to the hated rival Hawkeyes. Number 25 Iowa comes in and gets a win on senior night, last game of the year for Pinnacle Bank Arena. But we do have myself, Jake Bakoven, and Eric Strickland, Husker Hall of Famer, longtime NBA vet, here to break down the game and really get Strick's first thoughts that we've heard from him on the idea to bring Hoiberg back, because, of course, that news was broken last night. Strick was doing some traveling earlier today, so we didn't get on our normal airwaves. So that'll be part of the discussion as well. But, of course, we'd encourage you guys to join along with us, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, or Starter Heyman text line if you want to add some thoughts here. Real quickly, go over some of the scores here. Iowa, once again, with a 10-point win, 88-78, improving the Hawkeyes to 20-8, 10-7 in the league. More importantly, on our side, Nebraska falls to 7-21, 1-16 in the league. I'll go through some of the other numbers later as we talk about the job altogether. Tony Perkins led the way, actually, for the Hawkeyes tonight, 20 points. Keegan Murray, who went off against Nebraska last time out, was held to 15. So, I think there were some things that looked good for Nebraska throughout the game. Certainly haven't lost the team or anything like that, but unfortunately they come up short. Alonzo Verge leading the way for the Huskers, 18 points, 7 assists, 4 steals. A really solid performance from Alonzo tonight. 13 points from Bryce McGowan's, Derek Walker with 10 points and 8 rebounds, and CJ Wilcher with 14 points off the bench. Don't forget Trey McGowan's with 9 points, had a solid first half there. And Lat Mayen with 8 points as well. Struggled shooting at times, but did hit a few threes today. Let's bring in Eric Strickland, Husker Hall of Famer. Strick, what's your first thoughts from another loss for Nebraska?
I don't know how better to say it. It's just like it's a deja vu. It's always, it seems to be a deja vu moment. And the reason I say that is, if you remember my words from the last game, I said there's nothing about these stats in this particular game that could tell you that Nebraska would lose by the way that they're losing. And then you run down the stats, you see they shot 52% from the field. Great. 44, that's better than what Iowa shot. 44% for Nebraska from 3, and 41% from Iowa. And you move on down free throws. They shot 15 free throws, 10 less, but shot at a higher clip, 80%. They only had 10 turnovers. And this is the lowest turnover team in the conference at 8 a game, and they only had 10. But here you go. Here's where the numbers start to show themselves, and this gets into why it's deja vu and it's continuously this way, or they go into these long droughts, or they have a problem. Points off turnovers, 12-4. Now, all things being equal, the difference is a high-quality team, they finish on those opportunities. Nebraska doesn't. Then you go to the rebounds. 12 offensive rebounds for the Iowa, but even different from that. Okay, that's what they do. They're a high offensive rebounding team. But here's the number. Second chance points, 19-5. And there's your game. And it's deja vu. You go back and look at the last one. It was very similar to what I just said to you, right? There's nothing about this game that would tell you that this team would lose. The only difference is this team is a top 25 team. And when it comes down to it in the second half, they know what they're doing. They know what they're running. They know who they're going to. They know what shots they're trying to get. And then they crash, and then they get second chance opportunities, and then they beat you. So they grind you out. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Kind of looking through the box score, kind of going throughout the game. Nebraska was in arm's length for much of the game, and then you have the dreaded scoring drought. I think it was an 11-0 one this time for Iowa, which kind of their about 6-7 minutes left to go in the ball game, gave them the spacing that they needed for the rest of the game. Again, I at least want to feel good in the fact that Nebraska on senior night did come out. I think Iowa really did not play a very good first half for Iowa standards. So you have to give Nebraska credit what they were doing, kind of making the Hawkeyes relied on different guys. I mean, Keegan Murray's the perfect example here. I know he ended up with 15 points, but he's routinely, he averages like 24, which is pretty crazy. But, hold him down. He had like 24 the last time at halftime. So, they made some adjustments. They did well here and there and fought. And so, again, at times it looked like maybe it was going to be a little bit better. They were creating turnovers at a higher pace early on in that game. Kind of weren't able to follow that up throughout the game, but it's just frustrating. And like you said, it just kind of, it's deja vu. It's the same type of thing. I guess the good thing is, as we stand here and look at all these losses and piling up and all the records getting worse, is that they are still fighting and they are still somewhat close. The fear now as you move on with the next team coming up, and I don't, the season's not over. They have 3 away games still left in the Big Ten schedule. But they're 1-30 in true road games under Fred. They're 0-24 now against top 25 opponents. They have 2 road games against top 25 opponents. I guess you could still look at that Penn State game and say that's a possibility. Penn State's 7-10 in the Big Ten. That's, they're not your typical punching bag, which they are sometimes in years. So it's going to be hard to see them get a win. But again, for what I'm saying, I guess, is overall is I do expect a fight. I do expect it to be close. But the sad part is at this point, I do expect the deja vu conversation to happen once again when we get to these other post-game shows, because how could you not? I mean, at this point, when they're 1-16 in the Big Ten play, you're expecting that sort of thing. But I guess, again, the good part about this is that there haven't been too many blowouts. He hasn't lost the team. Maybe you'd be having a different conversation overall if that were the case. Quickly running through those numbers as they keep piling to get worse for Nebraska under Hoiberg now, 6-50 in Big Ten play. That's good for 11% games that you're winning there. 7-58 against high major opponents. That's still 11%. 1-30 in true road games. That didn't change tonight. But to add another one in the column of 0-24 against top 25 opponents under Hoiberg, 25 straight now for Nebraska as a program. Let me carry a couple numbers there. Yeah, that's 0%. That's not going to, it's not going to get any better until you get a win. So I guess as we'll continue talking this game, but I also did want to get your thoughts overall about the big news from last night, where you had Trev Alberts on his radio appearance announced that Fred Hoiberg will indeed be coming back. There will be a buyout limitation or deduction for next year. His base salary will also be deducted by minimally, but still, either way, it looks like the same type of deal as the football program. What do you think of that decision? I mean, we've been talking about it for a while. It's a lot of it probably comes down to financials, but do you think this is worth another go round?
Well, here's what I'll say. There's some great things, again, that's happened in this last game. I mean, there's great balance. You got to love that. You saw some great ball movement at times. You saw multiple guys, not one. You saw multiple, at least 3 guys hit the floor tonight. Again, it's just those little things that's the difference between a good team, a moderate team, and a bad team. A moderate team still secures loose balls, extra possessions, ball like the balls that Nebraska throws in the lane that kind of just goes into pinball mode in people's feet in there. The other team gets those. That happened twice tonight, and Iowa gets them and lays them in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are the types of things that you get, and you have to understand the scouting report is this is a second chance team that takes advantage of those things. So you can't let them rebound. And here's what happens. Shots go up. And we talked about it on the block. We talked about it. They must block out for long rebounds against this team because they're going to take shots. And you see Nebraska turn their back, take 2-3 steps forward, and where does the ball go? Out. you check that guy, put a hand on him, make sure he's not going nowhere. Okay, if he's not going, then you can go get it. But you saw the big fella Perkins was crashing, and he runs right by Bryce McGowan's, picks up the ball and lays it up. And he's not like a great shooter, but he goes 8 for 10. They were playing off of him tonight. He hit some buckets.
Career high. Yeah, that was his best night.
Yeah, come. I mean, that's really all I have to say. You let a guy that you don't let him get a sniff of feeling good have this type of game. That's how you lose. That's what costs you losses right there.
Yeah,
you do what you're supposed to against the best of them. Keegan Murray, you hold him down, and you let that guy go for 20, 8 for 10.
Yeah, and it was overall. I mean, I guess on both sides, but there were what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now, 6 Iowa Hawkeyes in double figures, including 4 of their starters, 2 guys off the bench, and they have a good bench. They have a deep team, so that I guess that's a little bit to be expected. But usually Keegan Murray obviously gets more points. But you're right. I mean, you can't allow career highs to some. I mean, it's great to stop the All-American, the All-Star there, right? But you can't allow career highs to the other guys. And there were a couple open threes on those long rebounds that just buried Nebraska. On the positive end, and I thought that this was kind of strange. The first few possessions in the game, absolutely running through Derek Walker, and Iowa didn't necessarily have an answer for him early on. He's, and they don't necessarily. I mean, they're not the typical Big Ten team with the big center that they can throw in there. And Derek Walker's looking up at, whatever 7-footer it is. He was especially effective early on, whether it was alley-oops, rebounds, getting touches down low. And they just didn't seem to stick to it throughout the game. Now, Iowa might have made a few adjustments, but it seemed like it appeared from completely, like the first 5 possessions was just Derek Walker involved in everything. And then at some point it just kind of they got away from it and they never went back to it.
That's what I'm talking about. But see, good teams, they do that. They're going back to that. I mean, they saw tonight that Keegan Murray had just a basic night, but basic for him is still solid. 15 and 11. 15 and 11.
Yeah, that's not a bad
15
night.
and 11.
It's not a great night
on dang near 50% shooting. And it looked like a bad night. It looked like a bad night. I mean, Trey actually did a wonderful job against him tonight. It looked like a bad night, but it's a rebound here. It's a great offensive set. They know what they want to run. Okay, we're up 6. We're going to push it to 10. So take this play right here. This is one we're going to. Nebraska don't have that. They don't have something right now. They do have it. They could have. Derek Walker was 5 for 6. They could have. Yeah. He was getting busy down there. They could have went and did something to keep the. That's what kept him in the game early on. Stuff like that, and it goes away. But I do give them kudos. They had great balance tonight. CJ stepped up. Yes, a couple good buckets from Kobe. Great ball movement. Just what we talked about on the block early. Great drive to the paint from Verge. Good dump off. He draws. In the past, what he would try to do is force that shot. He draws that corner defender, kicks it out. CJ, boom, it didn't stay in his hands. He could have actually shot it, but he saw the guy returning to him. Boom, quick pass to Kobe Webster 3. That's the type of basketball you gotta play against top tier teams. You're not, that first one's going to be really challenged. They're flying out at you. You got to shot fake it, get it in there, and then hit it, or 1-2, bam. And then they had a couple where the ball came out on good pass, good ball movement. They looked to drive, and they traveled. So they just got to work on footwork. That's just footwork stuff. You know what I mean? That's stuff you just work on. And it's not negative. There were some positive things that I saw. And so when you talk about Fred Hoiberg, I'm glad that they were able to negotiate and work those numbers to a workable number that can make sense. I'm just they're little things that I hope that they could take in the offseason and really hone in those. I mean, before they take jumpers, when they come back to training camp, or I mean, well, it's training camp in the league. I don't know what you call it in college now, but whenever you come back for your preseason workouts, those areas got to be honed on. They've got to be, taken care of. No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been a problem for Nebraska all years. There's no like strength to go to. At times, it feels like it's Derek Walker, but they don't go to it enough. So that it's hard to call it a strength when they don't utilize it. And I don't know if there's anything else. Verge for his senior night, I think played one of his best ball games in a Husker uniform. So there's a lot of positives coming from tonight. But ultimately, another 10-point loss to the Hawkeyes, and it gets frustrating. But we'll take a break. We'll come back here on the Hoops post-game show here following the Huskers lost 88-78 to Iowa. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric always makes safety a top priority for our home and office. In under just 1 hour, their team installed the state-of-the-art air scrubber system directly into our existing HVAC ductwork. This technology purifies the air and reduces exposure to common bacteria and viruses, creating a safer breathing environment for my family. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
AmeriCorps programs and members are making a huge impact in Nebraska communities near you, addressing critical issues like education, conservation, and even food insecurity. Because of AmeriCorps, the Together Inc. program distributed food to over 54,000 people during the 2020-2021 program year. Learn about AmeriCorps programs serving communities in your region by visiting servenotnebraska.gov. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
Now what do? Football is over. The weather's crappy. Man, I tell you what, it's a perfect time to go car shopping. This is Carl from Price Right Auto. Come out to Price Right in West Elk and you'll find over 100 great vehicles at some great prices. With our non-commissioned sales process, we let you control the sale. We won't let you get a lemon since we back every one of our vehicles with our Peace of Mind 3-month warranty. If you want a hassle-free car buying experience, check out our website, PriceRightAuto.com. Come see a great selection of affordable used cars on West Elk Street at Price Right Auto.
Back to the Tickets Basketball Postgame Show, featuring Derek Pearson and former Husker and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is the Hoops Postgame Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Jake Buckovan. He is Eric Strickland. And we are, I guess, covering here this Iowa victory over Nebraska, 88-78, as the Hawkeyes come into Pinnacle Bank Arena and spoil senior night for the Huskers. Nebraska now dropping to 7-21 in overall, 1-16 in conference play. Certainly not the year that Nebraska was hoping for, but it looks like at this point the administration is sticking with Fred Hoiberg, and hopefully Nebraska can get a few wins, at least one win down the stretch to make us feel a little bit better about the future of Nebraska basketball. I remember DP asking you this last game after the last post-game show if you would want to see a different lineup for Nebraska, and obviously it's too late to really do much of anything, but I do, as I watch, just Kobe Webster rise up for a somewhat contested three and bang it home on his senior night. I kind of feel like there's maybe a little bit of a lost opportunity or just a thought. I mean, I don't think plugging him in the starting lineup would, turn this team into a tournament team or anything like that. But I just kind of wish that, for a team that likes to get up a lot of shots, he's one guy that when I see him take a semi-contested three, I'm okay with it. So I wish that he was able to get a little bit more of a run on this team. But ultimately, the coaching staff decided the role that he was in, and at times it's worked. Off the bench can kind of be a spark plug. But I just feel like maybe he's a little bit underutilized at times.
I mean, you could be right about that. I think there probably could have been multiple times throughout the year there could have been shifts made that just try. I mean, it was like it's better than beating your head against the wall and coming up with the same result, right? Maybe give it something another look. I think he did have some opportunities at one point. I think he pressed a little bit. He was pressing himself and came up with some 1-for-9 nights and a couple of just bad nights. And he was just pressing. He wanted to do well. And what I would have liked to have seen him do is just come in and just really just control the team. Then you didn't have to do what Verge does or try to, press for scoring. Just let it, if you would have let it come to you, just get the guys involved, let your assist numbers pop out there, and you could have put yourself in a good position. And really that would have boded well for you as far as your next level opportunities. So my mind, if I was him, I would have been looking at what's next for me, next level. Wherever I may go, whether it be overseas or if I'm going to camp or trying to get into G League or whatever the case may be, they're not going to be looking for me to score. They're going to be looking for me to knock down open shots. But they're not going to be looking for me to come in there and beat Allen Iverson. So when you're looking at that, that's when you just say, hey, I'm just going to settle this team down. I'm going to put them on my back. I'm going to run this team. I'm going to be an extension of what Fred Hoiberg wants. And then at that point, I'm going to allow the game to come to me. Something that I saw too that really irked me a little bit is one of the McCaffrey brothers shot a shot. It was short. It was in the second half. Now this is like shortly coming out of the half, and we talked about that. We talked about how they don't come out very well in the second half and play. And again, that was another testament tonight. But the ball is shot short. It hit short on the rim. There are 3 Huskers over there. Derek Walker goes and blocks the shot. I mean, it was a good, scrappy hustle block. He falls out of bounds. And if you rewind the tape, the Husker players are just standing there looking, like trying to bail out. Go get your butt in there. Dig in there for the ball. And they stood there. And then guess what? One of the Iowa players secures it and puts it in. 19 second chance points. That's how it's happening. It's not rocket science in that it's just that they're just so super dominant that they're just, deboing you in the paint. That's not what's going on. It's like literally like the ball is there. Somebody go get it. And then it almost happened on the offensive rebound. CJ Wilcher, it was a long rebound to the corner. He leaves the corner and he thought about it. Should I go get it? It almost lets it go out of bounds. He had enough time, but he goes and gets it. It's like, that's what I'm talking about. It's like the balls sometimes are just sitting there and there's no reaction to it. No quick twitch to go get it. And that's costing them games.
Yeah, I was definitely the scrappier team in Nebraska. I think that's not a word that you would necessarily use to describe them. And like you said, it cost them in second chance points tonight. Again, I think it was a good point by you earlier. I think you did see a little bit more dive for the ball, hustle and stuff like that. So maybe that's, kind of getting into the locker room. But it's just kind of sad that, you see that 3 times, see 3 guys dive for the ball and we're impressed. That should be what we expect for Nebraska. So hopefully next year, that's less of an impressive type of thing that we'll bring up and more like, that's the hustle and tenacity we expect from Nebraska.
But it goes back to what we started the season with. What is Nebraska's identity? We don't know. When you go back and look at our teams back in the 90s, you knew what it was. We're going to run you either out the gym or you're going to get run. You're going to be tired tonight. So we were going to be in shape. We were going to scrap. We were going to be physical, and we were going to defend you all over the place. That was our identity. And we're going to get them up. I can't say that for Nebraska. I don't know what their identity. I know what Illinois is. I know what Purdue's is.
Yeah.
I know what Michigan State. I know I can sense what their identities are. This Nebraska, I have no clue. That's what they've got to go back to this year. They've got to go to the drawing board this offseason and figure out what is our identity, and anything that operates outside of that identity, we've got a discussion we need to have. That ain't us.
Yeah, and listening to the broadcast, it just kind of reminded me too, because I think the broadcasters were talking about how they talked to Fran McCaffrey, and he was talking about passing specifically, and they asked Fran, how do you teach these guys up in the passing department? These guys are all pretty good, and he said, I recruit passers. I will not recruit guys that aren't at that level. So maybe that's something that Nebraska needs to do instead of trying, Tim Miles kind of gotten into the rut of this too. It seems like at times is recruiting a bunch of 6'5" guys that can grow into basketball players that you can mold into having certain strengths here and there. Maybe the more important in recruiting thing is to identify players that if you need a rebounder, you don't bring in a guy with size that you can teach to rebound. Go recruit a rebounder. Go find a guy that rebounds a high level for and he's going to box out. And so whatever that may be, because they could use a lot of different things. Like you said, I don't know what their identity is. If it seems like the identity was supposed to be shooter, right? It was be able to shoot a bunch. And then we heard all about how they could shoot in practice. And this guy's the best shooter that they've had. And this guy's the best shooter they've ever seen. And then it turns out not to be the case. That's not what they had. And again, I kind of feel like that might hurt this team overall, is that they continue to go out there and find guys that can shoot, and maybe they're not getting they're not evaluating quite at that level. But when they recruit all shooters, you know what shooters want? They want to shoot. And that's what this team seems like. It's full with guys that are more. And it's I'm not talking about being selfish or anything. I'm talking about their strength. I'm talking about the way that they've grown up playing, is that they're looking for a shot. And basically the whole team's that way. And many of them don't have another overwhelming strength above that.
And that's why I will say I am very impressed with CJ Wilcher, because as we got towards the tail end of this season, I'm starting to see more of him. Nothing he did tonight was forced. Nothing he did tonight was pressed. It was all under control, and that's why he shoots a high clip. 5 for 7, 2 for 4, 2 for 2 from the free throw. He was balanced in his approach. It was a shot fake. It was an attack. It was a dribble to the mid range. It was spot up. It was moving off the cuts. He did all of that tonight, and so. Kudos him. We saw something that I thought we should have seen last year and this year out of Lat Mayen. You're freaking Stretch Armstrong, and some of the guys that are covering you, you're taking them to their advantage and trying to handle the ball against them. Take them to that freaking block and put them on there, back them down, boom, put a little shoulder into them, fade off of it, and shoot over them. And he had a post move tonight. I mean, I've been wondering where the heck that's been all season. So I saw some potential in some things, but again, there's plenty of work to be done, and they've got there's going to be a long off season unless they make some huge run in the Big Ten tournament. I just don't know if I see it yet.
I think Eduardo Andre only took one shot tonight, but it reminded me of what you said the other day. KYP, know your personnel. There was one possession where Lat Mayen was in the corner and passing it back and forth to Eduardo Andre with the shot clock winding down, and I'm just going, I don't want either of these guys to try to create a shot here at the end.
That was a Russell Westbrook moment.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Oh,
the crowd's all cheering against Westbrook.
No!
Don't shoot. He takes it. That's what I was thinking. It's like, oh my goodness, I don't have a high level of faith that this is going to turn out well. This is the Hoops Post Game Show brought to you by Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electric. We'll come back for one more segment here and close things out on another close game for Nebraska. Ends up being a double-digit game, but it was close most of the game. But Iowa comes in here, spoils Nebraska's senior night, wins 88-78. We'll have more of the Hoops Post Game Show coming up next here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
You know that feeling after a good, hearty meal? The worries of the world just slip away. Time slows down. Nothing but good times and good company. That's what you get with Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Mary Ellen's does food right, with a menu that includes smoked wings, pulled pork, brisket, catfish. And don't sleep on their sides, shrimp and grits, collard greens, baked beans. It's food that makes your heart happy. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, just east of 27th and Pineland. Let them fix you a plate.
He's a seasoned veteran.
I think he's 8 years old.
A Marconi Award winner.
Scoreboard, baby. That's what I point to.
He's Dan Patrick.
Anybody else? Anybody else saying something nice about me? Who else is out there?
Weekday mornings, 8 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Now what do we do? Football is over. The weather's crappy. Man, I tell you what, it's a perfect time to go car shopping. This is Carl from Price Right Auto. Come out to Price Right in West Elk and you'll find over 100 great vehicles at some great prices. With our non-commissioned sales process, we let you control the sale. We won't let you get a lemon since we back every one of our vehicles with our peace of mind 3-month warranty. If you want a hassle-free car buying experience, check out our website, PriceRightAuto.com. Come see a great selection of affordable used cars on West Elk Street at Price Right Auto.
Back to the Tickets Basketball Postgame Show, featuring Derek Pearson and former Husker and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here on the Hoops Post-Game Show on 93.7 The Ticket. Huskers fall once again fall to 7-21 on the season, 1-16 in conference play after an 88-78 loss to Iowa. But enough about that. I mean, that was hours ago. Why are we still talking about that? Let's move on, as Nebraska still has a few games, 3 games and basically 6 days for them. So it's a bit of a run for them. Penn State will be the next game for Nebraska. Of course, all the games now on the road. The final 3 regular season games for Nebraska. Pinnacle Bank Arena can clean up one more time tonight. But Penn State, interestingly enough, that's not the traditional Nittany Lion team that is fighting at the bottom of the league. I suppose they still are because the league's so tough. But they are 7-10 this year. Had a pretty big victory over Northwestern last night to kind of get them, at least for now, a game and a half ahead of Northwestern for that first round bye in the Big Ten tournament play. So Penn State definitely has a lot to play for when they go up against Nebraska, 6 p.m. On BTN from State College there. And they are winners of 3 of their last 4. So that's going to be a difficult game. Maybe the most likely game for Nebraska to win, though, because Ohio State is the game after that. That will be their last game here, as it is I think it's 5 days actually. Three games in 5 days. That'll be the last one on Tuesday, the first, when they play 6 p.m. on BTN against Ohio State, and then they'll wrap up things next Sunday against number 13 Wisconsin. So that'll be pretty difficult as well. But it just kind of felt like maybe, after the Trev Alberts announcement last night, it was like, maybe there's something in the air. Maybe there would be one upset victory here, a top 25 win against your rival Iowa. Yeah, the season hasn't gone right, but at least that would just feel you'd at least get that one moment to walk away, because this season, I just don't know what to tell you. There's not a good memory from it yet. And I just hope that there will be before the season's end.
Yeah, that's the best thing that you can hope for, is that it can be a Cinderella run. I mean, that's really the outlier that's out there right now. It's possible Cinderella run. You get hot and you figure some stuff out, and you just say, hey, we're going to lay it all on the line. I mean, other than that, there's not much to salvage from this season. It's got to be an identification of what your identity is going to be, and you have to become that. It has to be the staple of who you are as a team, and also it's got to be a staple of your recruiting. It's going to solidify what you're going to be looking for out there in whether it be in the portal or whether it be by way of going to get high schoolers. You've got to figure out what your identity is and start playing to that and recruiting to that.
Yeah, I mean, and tonight was senior night, and there's, we know Kobe Webster, Alonzo Verge, those guys played well for their final night in Pinnacle Bank Arena. What we don't know is if Derek Walker is going to come back, if Trey McGowens is coming back. Of course, if Bryce McGowens decides to go pro, Lat Main, another guy that you can throw in there. I kind of have the feeling, I hope a few those guys are back, but I have the feeling you're going to have another somewhat of an overhaul once again for this roster coming up, because a lot of guys, I mean, I don't know about that class, but even some of the younger guys, this was probably just a tough season to go through, and maybe you just kind of want to reset. And I hope not. I hope a lot of these guys bleed Husker red, but I have to imagine there will be quite a few additions, and that's college basketball these days. As frustrating as it is watching these rosters turn over, it happens at a lot of places, but part of it is being able to bounce back, and Iowa is again the perfect example from that. You lose Joe Wieskamp, you lose Frederick from last year, and most importantly, obviously, you lose Garza, the back-to-back Big Ten Player of the Year, and they're able to bounce back. I mean, who knew Keegan Murray was going to be as good as he is? But it can't be one of those things where the losses debilitate you, and I think that's been a big talking point. Is if Bryce decides to go to the NBA or test it. That's the one problem that a lot of people I think have with this year for Hoiberg, is it's almost got to pair with Bryce McGowens coming back, because it's hard to see too many more building blocks with this team. I will say this: I think CJ Wilcher is kind of developed into that.
Yeah.
He doesn't exactly have, I think there's a lot of scorers on this team. He does what he can in the minutes he comes in off the bench. But it will also be interesting to watch him develop into more of, kind of having that to be one of the better players on the team as far as guys they go to for points, because he just kind of, and it's nice. He plays within his role of the game, and it allows him to get points, but he's getting better. I mean, even that dribble mid-range, I'm pretty confident in that when he's taking that now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I like what I see out of CJ Wilcher, and that's what I'm hoping to see. I think he'll probably come back. I think he'll get his body more in shape. He probably needs to drop a few so he can be more, a little more wiggly, but other than that, I like his strength. I like his approach. I like his mental. He'll go in there and battle if need be for rebounds. I think, an opportunity that would be presented to CJ, I think he would be willing to take it. So we'll see. It's going to come. It's going to come sooner than later. I mean, answers will start being answered very soon in April, May timeframe, where guys will start making decisions to declare and whatever they're going to do.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see how they do it, because they're going to have to try to, if they don't get a victory here at the end, somehow pump some energy into this program in the offseason. and that's going to be interesting. One thing that won't happen is you won't see Jordan Bohannon back in an Iowa uniform. He's finally done. He's the most college basketball player of all time. I mean that is he's played more NCAA games than anybody in the history, and of course the COVID year kind of helped him to be able to get that. I can't believe this. I was looking it up. His first time he was in a Hawkeye uniform was in 2016. It's 2022, man.
Oh my God!
Doctorate coming out.
He's like that guy on High, like those on How High on the movie when they were like in college for like 8 years or something.
Yeah, I don't know what he's still doing there. And he's effective. He's a joy to watch, I suppose, if you can stomach watching Iowa basketball. But and then they are. And to me, I know the Iowa hatred, all that, but the way they share the ball, they scrap. They're a good shooting team. A lot of options. They are kind of a joy to watch.
There's nothing sexy about them. It's not sexy, but it's very fundamentally sound, and it gets the job done. They're winning games. There's nothing sexy about them, man. I mean, nothing sexy about them at all.
A lot of fundamentals.
Yeah.
which is good, which is what I think Nebraska fans want to see, in the very least, going into next year. Real quick, just kind of one more time, kind of going over that decision. I think a lot of it had to do with the money situation. I think that bore out in how they were able, had to get the buy down another level. But I'll ask this, because it's kind of a thought that I had both with Frost and Hoiberg, is that these guys signed huge deals for a reason. They had pretty impressive resumes when they're coming in. And both of them have just had nothing but disastrous seasons since they've been here. And I understand that. But you kind of do get to that point of, maybe throughout the time of, kind of being in the moment, I can understand emotions really getting there. But if you take a step back and think, these guys are high level, at least, potential for these guys to be really good, just because Nebraska usually isn't going to be in the position to get a guy who took a team to the Sweet 16 already and had a number 3 seed and all that. And in football is not going to be in the position to get, a guy that's had an undefeated season. Do you kind of like Trev Albert's approach to it, not only saving money, certainly for if, down the line, if he has to make the move, but have that little bit of extra patience for guys whose resume might speak to, it might be smart to have a little bit extra patience?
I think Trev's got to do that. I think he has a tremendous amount of patience in that this is what he's inherited in his first year. So I think allowing that to marinate, so to speak. If you're going to eat a good steak, sometimes you have to allow it to marinate a little bit longer just to let the juices sink in, right? So for him to have pulled the steak off the fire too early, you're going to get a raw steak. And some people like raw steak, but you might want to cook it a little bit and see how you can get some of that taste and that flavor out of it. And so I think that's maybe what he's trying to do. But I think he's a tremendous negotiator in that he's negotiated these potential minimizing of losses for the university in the meantime, in between time. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully it pans out. I'm hoping that they're stir frying in the kitchen and we look back on this one and say, we don't remember what happened last year. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping for just an absolute season where I can be talking smack all throughout Florida.
Real quick, without even knowing what the roster looks like, I think there has to be some sort of expectation for next year. What do you think that should be the minimal expectation for Nebraska basketball next year?
Middle of the Big Ten. If next year you're still playing in that last 4 Big Ten game, then that's no bueno.
Yeah. I can see
you got to be in the middle. You got to be in that middle tier. That first day break.
Yeah. I guess because going back to your steak analogy, this steak's already been dropped on the floor. I think it's got a 5-second roll. You might have to wash off. There's like sand and stuff on the floor, hair on there. you really gotta turn this steak around. I hope that they're able to do it again. I think a good indication that maybe they will be is that, and I don't know what would have happened what Trev would have had to do if he lost the locker room and these games just weren't competitive at all. you might have had to bite the bullet and just pay the money. But I think another good showing tonight from the Huskers. A lot of them individually had some of their better games. Just came up short once again, 88-78 to the Hawkeyes. And Nebraska falls to 7-21 overall, 1-16 in Big Ten play with 3 Big Ten games remaining, all on the road. But thanks again, Strick, for staying up with us. It's a late one. I think we'll have another late one. I think another 8 o'clock tip is set, or no, it's 6 o'clock for Penn State on Sunday. So we'll get to go to bed a little bit earlier. We'll always look forward to that. But once again, thank you, Strick, for staying up with us. I'm Jake Bachman. Thanks once again to Action Electric, Heating, AC, and Plumbing for being with us all year long. You guys have a good weekend. We'll talk to you on Sunday.
You know that feeling after a good